Hello and welcome to the channel. Today a video about overwintering banana plants here in the north of England. The two most widely available here are Japanese banana, Musa basjoo, and the red Abyssinian banana, Ensete ventricosum morellii. The Japanese banana is the hardiest and can survive winter outside in milder parts of the UK or cities. In colder parts, like here in the north of England, it needs wrapping and preparing for winter. The Abyssinian banana is a tender plant and it will die if left outside over winter. Both methods I will show you today are simply the way I did it last winter, and it worked for me. I have bigger plants this year than last. I'm not an expert and not saying that this is the definitive way to do it. So before we get started, what do we need for the job? I've got a couple of sets of clippers, a sharp kitchen knife, the white fleece you buy from the garden centre, and some Hessian sacking and string. As you can see, I've got straight into it, and the usual disclaimer about knives: they are sharp and dangerous, so if you're not confident using them, go for secateurs or clippers. But I find this the easiest way, and just get stuck in, cutting the leaves off fairly close back to the stem to leave a unsightly trunk is what you're after. The Japanese banana can be left each winter and it will either survive or die back to the ground. Chances are it will then grow again next year. The only problem with this method is you'll never get a big specimen. Probably get to maybe a metre or so. This is what I've done previously, but last year I decided to cover it and it was about 4 feet. And so this year, when it started growing from that 4 feet. So as you can see, we've got a plant that's maybe 9 feet tall. So my plan next year is that it starts growing at this height. And as you can imagine, we'll be starting to get quite a good specimen plant. It should be beginning to look like a banana tree. And that would be after just 2 years of covering it in the winter. Out to the wide. Keep going, cutting and hacking until you've got rid of all the leaves. And then we can move on to the next stage of covering the plant for the winter. I'm a little late getting this video out. I did this in mid-October, but I have a smaller banana plant that's still okay in the garden. It's not being damaged by frost. So it's not too late if yours needs doing now to get on and do this job. As you can see, there's quite a bit of waste which needs removing. You should now be left with one or more stems. And these are what need protecting. These are where your new growth is going to sprout from the top next year. And the next stage is pretty straightforward. Each of the stems needs wrapping in the white fleece and tying securely. And then after that's completed, the stems and whole plant can be wrapped in hessian sacking. This particular plant has got a lot of offshoots coming at the bottom. I think they're called pups, maybe 5 or 6. Those can be dug up and planted into pots, put in the greenhouse, and they'll be perfectly good banana plants for next year. You don't need to spend a lot of money. These are hundreds of pounds at garden centres. Mine, this particular plant was £10 on the sick plant section, and it was about 9 inches high. And it's now heading off to be a full-size tree, the way we're going. So you don't need to spend a huge amount. If you know anybody who's got one, just ask them for some offshoots, and they grow really quickly. A couple of years, you'll have a plant this size. So this is pretty mundane stuff. If you like wrapping Christmas presents, it's the ideal job. It's not quite my cup of tea, but it needs to be done. So as you can see, it's almost done. The whole thing's probably taken about half an hour, and then there's really nothing to do until the worst of the frosts are over. I uncovered it about April this year. The new shoots got slightly damaged by a late frost, but nothing that was too bad for it. So I'll move on to the Ensete banana, the red one, which you may have noticed is in the greenhouse. This is, I think, a very tender plant, and this is the method I used last year. I moved it into the greenhouse mid-October and let the whole thing start to dry out. It's very wet, and I think the plant's made up mostly of water. So I left it in the greenhouse for a good week to 10 days. And then today I'm going to do exactly the same as I've done with this banana. I'm going to simply cut the leaves off. This one was quite a small plant last year, the Ensete, and I've also repotted it. So it doesn't seem to have grown as well as this one has. But we cut the leaves off the Ensete. I then move it into a utility room in the house, any kind of ante-room or hallway, where it just gets a chance to completely dry out. It doesn't want to be put away for the winter wet, because I'm guessing it'll rot. And then last year I put it in a cupboard downstairs, a dark cupboard in the corner, and left it again till about March, when I moved it back into the utility room and very slowly introduced water to it, and then by about April moved it to the greenhouse, and when a chance of all the frosts had gone by the end of May, I moved it out into the garden. I did cover it last year with a layer of the white fleece. This year I'm not going to bother because it's not going to get any frost at all in the cupboard, and I doubt it'll drop much below about 10 or 12 degrees, which is fine. But just leave it all winter, no water, in the dark, and then in the spring introduce it to somewhere warm, light, and a little bit of water, and it should take off. So that's it, the video of how I've prepared my 2 banana plants for the winter. It worked last year, I hope it works again this year. If you have them, good luck with them. They are worth it, because in the height of those summer months, when everything's warm and we might have a little bit of rain, they look stunning when they're big in the borders. Hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, then give it a big thumbs up and like it. And if you do like this kind of content, do consider subscribing to the channel. And if you have any gardening related comments about banana plants or anything else, then feel free to leave a comment below. But for now, and until the next time, I'll say cheerio.